Christy Ayana, Town Administrator.
Aaron Daypre, Cundies Harbor Fire Department.
David Mercier, Fire Chief, Harpswell Neck.
Nelson Barter, Assistant Fire Chief, Harpswell Neck.
Kevin Johnson, Select Board.
Mike Drake, Fire Administrator for the town.
Ben Wallace, Fire Chief for Cundies Harbor and Oars and Bailey Islands.
Mason Smith, Oars and Bailey Fire Department.
Andy Highland, Port City Architecture.
Lita Simrau, Port City Architecture.
Mark Rainsborough, Estimator, Right Ryan.
Cordelia Pittman, Right Ryan Construction.
So I think we want to turn it over to you folks to lead off today, Port City Architecture.
Okay. Scott, some updates, three things. One, if you turn to this page right here, I've been back and forth numerous times with Flycatcher. So we're trying to figure out how close we can get this building to that blue area that just says wetlands right there. That was from the Normandeau map a while ago. So they came out, looked at the vernal pool, and that potential vernal pool at the bottom is not a vernal pool. So that's good news. Even though it was located, it was noted on their map. Even Normandeau, their kind of field data said it was not a vernal pool. I don't know how it got on their map, but it's not. That's the good news. The bad news is it's not a vernal pool because it's fed by a slow-moving stream, all 20 feet of it. And I was like, so in Maine, stream for DEP purposes, it has some definitions. It's got a defined bank and a gravel bottom. So this whole blue thing is not a stream, but apparently, somewhere right in here, there's about 20 feet that could be defined as a stream. So, which in that case then makes the wetlands high-value wetlands. But we have some options. So right now it should not be a stream in my unenvironmental, educated, just architect ideas. So the girl that's been doing the field work, her boss came out, Nicole's boss, Rod, he's one of the principals at Flycatcher. And he said, yeah, it's, really only about 20 feet. And we should get DEP down here to take a look at it and tell us whether they were going to say it was a 20-foot stream or not. And so I have called DEP 3 times, I guess, and had zero response to date. But I'll keep on it. So worst case scenario then on this is, from what I'm understanding, talking to our civil engineer, Tom Saucier, and also to Nicole, is that as long as we don't build on the wetland, we can come right up to them, and as long as we're 25 feet away from the edge of that stream that's about maybe this wide in the defined section, then we're okay. So I think the worst case scenario, the building as we've shown it here, may move a little bit. So we have Flycatcher coming in. Christy, so you were going to talk to them about, they did the vernal pool. They're going to come back and map this little piece of wetland here and map that 20-foot long stream in there, and then we'll know, what we can do, and if they do define it. So Tom said he had exactly the same thing in Biddeford on a project. It was 30 feet of stream. DEP said, yeah, well, it's still a stream, 30 feet of stream. So, but worst case scenario, we'd be 25 feet from the edge of that. So I don't know exactly. This is from the Normandeau, map, if that's exactly where that wetland is or where. And they didn't think it was a stream. They didn't define it or call it a stream, except in that one little piece of field work. So that's our kind of next piece. And talking to Wright Ryan and talking in our office here, and the time that we spent here, I really do believe that this is the best location that we're gonna find, for the money on that. And if we have to move it, I think moving it, keep pushing this road out a little bit into the drop off there. Maybe that's probably where our cisterns are going to have to go, because up here it's pretty ledgy too. I don't want to start blasting to put cisterns in the ground. So we could fill up some of that and put a little bank, and then again try to cut this road over to give us as much apron in front of the apparatus space as we can. So I think my opinion is we should stay this course as we slowly unravel the DEP portion of this and what we're dealing with and what the rules are going to be. And I think that's really kind of the way to go. So that's the environmental portion today. If anybody's got questions on that, we can.
How does a stream not have a source and an outflow?
Isn't that a good question?
It's just a riverbed with no source and or a stream bed with, basically.
Right. Yeah. Doesn't have a beginning, doesn't have an end.
It doesn't, when you're over there, it doesn't look like it's about 3 feet wide. It doesn't, it's not as big as it's depicted here on this map.
So there's, yeah, right. So now, I shouldn't be cynical or anything. DEP, I'm still pushing for them to come down and make a ruling on that, to just see whether they think that's really significant enough to be labeled a stream.
It sounds like a gully between two bridges is what it really is.
Yeah, it's just, yeah. So it's really kind of a wetland that the water's kind of slowly moving down the hill. And in that one section, it had enough to kind of define some edges and define a bottom or whatever else the DEP defines, as a stream. But so I'll keep calling, and hopefully, we'll get somebody here. If not, I think, in the meantime, we're just gonna get the mapping here, and we're gonna move, to find out exactly where the edge of that stream is, and we're gonna put the building 25 feet away from there and not within any of those wetlands.
Let me explain a little bit of this image too. We took this combination of Google Earth, couple of other things. So this is the architect's general idea of it, and that's why we're asking for the survey. So
We mapped over, so, I mean, the wetlands is right from the Normandy.
Right,
But we put that over Google Earth and and mapped it as close as
and that's
we
the old
could-
one.
we could see. So it could be
Yeah.
off, hopefully, to our
Advantage.
advantage or not. And but I think we need to get those exact locations.
If that is defined as a stream, though, that completely eliminates the possibility of back access to the garage, right?
Correct. That would. Right. And if it's not, we're home free. It's just a low value wetland, and there's room in there. It's flat enough to do stuff and to work with. So, but that's the rules we play by.
In your experience, if DEP comes down and says, puts their blessing on this, is that definitive, or can they come back later and say, well, no, we've changed our mind?
We will work to get that as positively reinforced as we can in writing, yes. So, yes, it could, usually if they're gonna make that statement, they'll probably stand behind it. It's just getting them to make that statement. And, I mean, they don't want to get in trouble either. It's not, that's kind of what slows DEP process down is there's it's a whole different story, but they put so much interpretive, onus on the staff up there that, you know, instead of just rules, they have to, you know, make a lot of these interpretations, and, you know, they don't want to make the wrong interpretation either, so that's one of the reasons DEP can not be as timely as we'd like.
I think the town has contacts with DEP. I know we do, so we could help you.
If you have a
If you're not
contact,
getting
I
a
got,
return call, we can help you
yeah.
with that.
I got
Yeah.
contacts from
Okay.
Flycatcher, and I'm calling this woman personally and emailing her, and so far nothing. But I think to you know, get somebody down, that would really be helpful. That could really kind of take away a lot of the, you know, uncertainty of exactly, you know, where we're going here. But I do think this is the spot, which is still kind of similar to, you know, what you know we were talking about originally on that. But the vernal pool, that's good, that's gone, and you know, hopefully we'll just have a little bit of, you know, low value wetland there. So that's the DEP report. So what we're trying to do right now is really lock down the location. What's the best location here that makes the most economic sense and works for the town? And then secondly, what Ryan will kind of report on is like, what's the best, most efficient way to build this building? Is it all wood? Is it all steel? Is it a combination? And that's what Mark is working on in Cordelia, and they have some, I think, prepared to report a little bit. And I still have another ace up my sleeve if there's,
Do we want to jump into, because we've got the updated value management log and the,
I'm going to turn it over to you. It's
okay.
your show. You can show it how you want.
I appreciate that.
Are you gonna need a screen and all, or?
No, I think we can just look at it on paper.
Okay.
Bought the wrong glasses this morning.
Why? I didn't bring my glasses.
Young pups, not the only one here at the table can read without glasses.
Pulled it across the room.
You should, you know, be embarrassed.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so we updated the value management log, so we got some well, better pricing on both like full wood and full steel options, if you will. So attached to, big picture wise, we have numbers updated on this, but you'll see the attached, some like, we did a conceptual idea about if it just was steel. So this is like entire steel rather than half wood, half steel.
And then, so that's at the back of your package, and then Angie, I'm seeing, basically provided
A wood
a
option,
wood
yeah.
option. Is this pretty much what we priced?
That is what we priced.
Okay,
It's,
so
as
the
a-
back of the package that Andy gave you, there was just sort of some framing plans, or framing ideas for an all-wood package. And so those are sort of the two options that we've tried to
Yeah.
illustrate for you from a dollars perspective.
the previous baseline that we priced was the truck bays were gonna be steel, no columns in between the trucks, and the office, meeting space, dorm space was going to be wood and wood trusses like a standard building. So this is the exercise that we went into on this is there were economies of scale by going to, instead of trying to combine two dissimilar things. And what we found, so if you refer to those on 7A and 7B, so these are like an A or a B. So you'll see that on the PEMB, pre-engineered metal building, another acronym there. So that is the full steel option. That just switching materials saves you almost over $200,000.
And I just want to point out that we are at the reduced square footage.
Yes.
So we are at 11,230 square feet, which is what Lita presented at our last meeting, correct? Because this takes out the
Yeah, but-
740.
So if you take
Yeah.
7A or 7B, do you not take the reduction of the,
We're on,
You're not
back onto
take one?
one we're working on what exactly is in that. I was thinking about that on the ride up. I think there is, a one will be a little bit less, but I think it's gonna be right about there, because we did not, in 7A and 7B, I didn't change, the only thing I changed was the building above the concrete.
Like the
So,
superstructure.
number one incorporates, what if you shrunk the foundations and the slab and some of the plumbing and stuff like that, so.
So basically what we're saying is that you can't literally add the savings of 222,000 that you see under one, plus either your selected A or B, but it's somewhere in between. It will be less than 222, but it'll be more than zero. So we have
Yeah.
to figure that out. So Lita and Andy, does that make sense to you, what we're saying?
So that's,
I'm not just looking at it.
Okay.
call it in the ballpark of 375, 400,000 by selecting just a steel building with slightly less area. So, and that's not save the whole wetland discussion and the bay doors. That's a separate item, but this is still your full program. It's just slightly smaller, and it's just a different material.
Does it include the other 3 bedrooms, so it would have 6 bedrooms?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that you can still elect to take, you can still elect to pull 3 of those bedrooms out and save an additional 200, so. But that is, it's moving you in the direction that you're looking to go.
Can I ask if you can't add the two of them together, why is number one $222,000 in savings, but either 7A or 7B is less than that? If
They
it's the
don't
same
reflect
square
the
footage.
same thing. So the reduced area of wood framing, well, go ahead, do you want to?
So the number one reduces foundations and plumbing and stuff like that, whereas there was considerable number of variables when you turn the dials up and down on this, and I was trying to isolate
Just the
variables in 7. So like just the framing and just that. There are a lot of things moving in number one that is hard to beat. That's why
Yeah, so
there's, you
one
can't
incorporate, yeah.
truly isolate the full value of number one, but it's pretty much there.
So one also reduces sort of things like site costs, how much you're gonna excavate for this footprint. So then the next thing is, your foundation, so it's a smaller foundation, right? So that is part of, and then there's less walls, there's less HVAC, less drywall, less painting, less lighting fixtures, et cetera, et cetera. So that's just sort of like, the building kind of gets sucked in a little bit. This is actually looking at like, okay, let's look at, but it's the same building that had the wood framing and the metal framing, right? It's just become slightly smaller, all of it. So this one looks at what if we went to all wood or all metal at that reduced size.
So, but the way I read that is, if we don't change the construction type at all, and we just reduce 740 square feet, we're gonna save more money than changing the construction type.
It's not.
And you can't add them together.
No,
so
well,
why would
and
you?
I apologize for saying that. So
Yeah.
it's not gonna be a straight $222,000 to reduce this. We're still in the process of trying to understand what that would be. So it's gonna be somewhere, can we call it like 100K?
Let's call it 175.
Okay, so you could call one at 175, and then you could take either 7A or 7B. 'Cause
But you don't add one to either one of the others.
you would, if you.
At that.
Okay,
At that,
you would.
yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, because the note, under the option, it says NAF7 is selected. That's why I was getting confused, because
Yes.
I heard that you didn't get to,
Yeah,
Yes.
we'd spent most of our time really working our way through what happens when you go to an all-wood frame versus an all-metal frame, and now we're sort of thinking like, okay, so how do we leaf these different options into the options that have been presented today? So I apologize for the unclarity, and, we were literally figuring it out at 10 o'clock this morning.
And also, we don't want people to just go through and in these ads and say, try to add up everything. That's why we put the option column, trying to say you can have A or B in certain things, and I misspoke on the note on one there.
Yeah, so we can change that and send it back to you. So I think that that is the big update of what we've been doing.
Yep, and you can also change, you still have the other updated items on this, so, if the wetlands come to pass and you do not have drive-throughs, you can elect to still take some of the number 8 there, that got changed to 3 rear doors, so that's another $55,000 that can come out of the budget. If unfortunately that happens.
Right. So if you, from a site plan perspective, you cannot, which this site plan is actually showing, correct, Andy? So we don't have any rear doors on this one?
On this plan,
Yeah,
this
and
plan.
it will,
And we won't know if
Yeah.
we can for a while.
Right.
and if, yes, so.
So the all-metal building turns out to be that it's significantly less expensive than the all-wood building option.
In this
And-
option, it turned out that it was cheaper because in the all-wood option, there were additional drywall costs that were driven to encapsulate the wood
From a fire.
in the truck bays.
And the all-metal still has the additional insulation it would need?
It has, the metal buildings come with it's a blanket wrap, as you've seen in some of those. That is code compliant insulation that is draped in and around.
And then in the living areas, it would have the additional insulation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And still have clear apparatus bays?
correct.
Without-
No intermittent columns. The wood option in this adds to add that drywall, additional drywall, plus those, there are tube columns that would run in between the truck bays. There would be a few of them there to get the spans out of the wood.
I did have another wood option that would kind of split that I'd like to still investigate. That would, split this into 2 clear span trusses, triangle here, and maybe a triangle up here, that I'd like to kind of take a look at, and then that could clear span it as well, with all just kind of,
Oh, for a wood frame, you mean?
yeah, I'd be kind of, like the western, because this one's going to be up higher, the 20, like a clear 18, 20 feet inside for the trucks, and the other one's, 12 or 13, so it might end up into one of those kind of a little more western roofs where the peaks don't, a little offset. But I think there's, I gave Mark just a quick sketch of it, and maybe we ought to, I think, take a look at that as well.
Will that offload the snow in front of the garage door?
No, I'd go each way, sideways. And I've done that before. They're big trusses. I mean, you get into like kind of a real, a big truss kind of piece, but I think we could put a bearing wall up and then doing the, if we added a 4th bay or on there, that would be another little element that we'd have to kind of figure out. But I think, this one I kind of just went with the same flat roof and, out of 2x12s. And that one would be just a really kind of simpler, truss package.
If the apparatus bay is steel, is that gonna be wide open up to the roof? So we don't have to have a ceiling in that?
Oh, it'll be exposed no matter
Yeah, and
what it is, yeah.
steel, yeah.
Well, wood, we'd have
Still
sheetrock.
wood.
Sheetrock,
Yeah.
Rock over it.
Yeah.
You don't,
For fire rating, you're gonna have to.
For rating.
rock.
we don't have to,
Not
we'll have
just,
to do a
not
code
necessarily
review.
there, but just for like, to keep the insulation. You're gonna want it for cleanliness or, just to keep it kind of clean in there, I think. We wouldn't want, even if we could do exposed insulation, you probably want it covered.
Yeah.
On the whole thing.
You'll have to tell me on the exact code implications of it, one way or another.
Yeah, we're still working on the site, but yeah, okay.
I'm just thinking about clearance, if you're up on top of the truck loading hose or doing something, if you got a ceiling there, how high are we gonna have?
So, yeah, the whole idea is, the way we design these usually is that there's structure
running with
with the trucks.
like this one, the deeper structure would run in between each bay, and then it'd be taller inside the bay.
So if you parked the truck sideways in there, you could bump your head, but the whole idea is that you park between them,
Right.
so.
Okay, so it kind of,
Now, you don't have
Between
any.
each door would be a
Yeah.
deeper beam
Yeah.
going, and then across from each, at 17 feet on each
Oh, I
bay.
gotcha.
Then, then it'd be more like a 2x12 or a little,
You don't
small
have
span.
any trucks where the cab comes up this way, do you?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so if you could clarify that clearance and get it to me, because those can push a building. Usually, it's not a problem, and we've designed it, but we've had Rumford had one that
That was
was,
a ladder truck though, so they had to put the ladder up to
Yeah.
pull the thing up, so that was a double.
And they
whammy.
built their station so they can put the cab up inside. It's the first one I've ever heard do that.
Yeah.
Most of them pull them out to do it.
With a ladder truck, so they gotta raise the ladder on their truck to get the
you
cab
just
up.
made, you just made my day right there,
Okay,
because
right.
you know how many of those meetings I
But you-
walked out, I was like,
Generally, I mean,
Okay.
I'm thinking, we've got like 18 feet clear or something in here generally, is what we're looking at.
because we know you could be doing maintenance, you could be placing equipment back there.
Like you're standing on
Yeah.
top of a piece of apparatus.
And we
or
don't want
fill.
you to be walking across there with your hard hat on to make sure you don't hit something.
Routinely, we don't jack the cabs inside the building. It is not something that we
Okay.
do as a regular daily or monthly thing. If we have to jack a cab, we pull it outside, perform what we need to do, and
Yeah.
then lower it, back it in.
Yeah,
I really hadn't given any thought to jacking a cab inside the building.
All right,
Never
just,
seen it
just
done.
ignore I said that.
I'm just thinking of working on top of it, because we had two things. We
Yeah.
had a guy
We had
that was
a-
in the hospital for 24 hours with 8 stitches in his head because they had a ceiling fan.
oh geez,
And he was
Wow.
moving some hose around, and stood up into the ceiling.
oh man.
Yeah. No, the whole,
Loading hose into a bed is something that we routinely perform inside the building. So adequate clearance for that, but maybe not jacking the cab.
When you talked about the all-metal building, when we talked about this originally, we were putting interior walls in there inside the metal frame for additional insulation. Is that still included in that all-metal?
In the office
Right.
living portion,
Station
yes.
portion?
In the bays, we just have the FRP that,
Right. You still-
with an 8-foot piece of plywood, it's glued to it, and
Yeah.
you can't stick your fingers through the insulation on the walls.
Okay.
Could we get to clear spans with timber frame in the garage?
Well, I'll hand this around.
So by timber framing, you mean like
Like-
williams?
Like,
Cross laminated.
no, I'm talking about like standard old construction, like your barn was built timber frame.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's typically
Yeah,
more
you-
expensive than light gauge framing these days.
I'm just trying to figure out how to get somewhere between wood frame and clear span, that's all.
Yeah,
So these pictures, if you leaf through, not some of the fancy drone shots, but inside, so this is, you can see that this is a flat, single-pitch roof on
And
here.
this is-
This is the lumberyard
Okay.
in Kingfield.
yep,
So this has the single pitch. So this would be, imagine, instead of selling lumber, this is where you would park the trucks at your same equal height that
Yeah.
you would get with the metal building. And you can see that the wood option does have a little bit of metal in it. Because they need to rest on something.
yep.
But this is what the equal option, if you will. And you can see that the ceiling doesn't, it would be as high as we need to go there, because you can get the height out of those tubular columns.
Is that what you were looking at here?
Yeah,
Like
same
steel
idea on
beams?
this.
Okay.
So you would get that and then have their shorter trusses that run to get your very low slope pitch off the side.
And so so basically, they've got a parapet around it, and so then
Yeah.
they're draining, what are they gonna do? Do you know
So
what they're doing for roof drains?
they have roof drains in the back, but this can go off of off of a drip in the
Yeah,
back. It's
okay.
the same.
So they're intending to drain to here.
They are.
That's
They
what
have
they're
a
saying.
singular direction
Yeah,
drain.
okay.
And this is in Kingfield, so the snow load is
They have a pretty decent snow load.
greater, if not
What are the
equally.
dimensions of this building?
This is like 100 by, I think it's like 100 by 112. It's fairly big. But this is actually, the reason I chose this, I show you these pictures, is the spacing is actually greater, is a little bit greater even than what you would need between truck bays. So you could, I don't think we could get 2 full bays, so you would have like 1 double row with columns and 1 without type deal. I think you still would have to have those, but they're fairly, they're not taking up all your real estate on the apparatus floor.
How many columns do you anticipate in hours?
I'm thinking
I don't know, maybe 2, 1 between the bays?
maybe 4.
4?
So for one at each wall, and then.
Well, there'd be at the wall,
Yeah.
at the exterior walls,
But if
and
we-
then in the middle, in between, there may be 1 or 2 on a run, and there'd be 2
Oh, I see what you're saying.
runs.
Lengthwise. there would be-
Lengthwise of the
so-
building.
So going from the truck pulling in, the truck would pull past the door and then potentially past 2 columns, 1 column on either side and then another column on either side.
So the steel ends up being flat on this, and your shape actually comes from the roof truss. It's a very long, thin wedge of cheese, if you will.
Is this making sense to folks? So this is just something we just built, and so
Yeah.
that's why Mark was like, wow, this is kind of
This is-
similar to what we're thinking about here. And so we do have.
It's and I think it's a pretty economical way of doing it if we're gonna do it out of wood. That's one way to do it. And the steel it's there,
It's doing some work.
but it's not like overbearing, if you
Right.
will. Not-
But, and Andy and Lita, I mean, obviously, this is just a box, so you
Yeah.
got, so you can do anything you want with it to make it look like, make it look different.
And you'll notice on the big exterior shots as well, is that they elected to do some stuff on the outside, so like, even if we go to a all-metal building on this, Lita and Andy would have an option to say, oh, well, we wanna put a little peaked, entryway over the side, we kinda like, you adhere it basically to the outside of the metal building, so it's not, you're not having some generic warehouse box on the side of the road. There's also in the metal building, I put some additional money to side it in the clapboard siding that was on the previous building. So it had a little bit of look of it had maintained their architectural like design of having very kind of like 2 buildings, different siding types from the original plans. So it's not just gonna look like some copy-paste
But so
box
is-
out there.
So is the cost of this what you based?
This is the all-wood option, if you will. So there is a
Okay.
little steel in the all-wood
Okay,
option.
but that you use these costs?
Yes.
To develop, okay,
And that's where we pulled equal costs from.
okay, okay.
And Mark, just to get oriented, the beams would run between the apparatus and not.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
So you would have, it probably, I think you would actually end up with just two columns in the midpoint.
Is
So-
it 80 feet deep, 82 feet?
Your building is 82 feet,
That's
so
already 82, right?
yeah, these are greater than 40-foot spans, you can see here, so,
That's you, Andy.
these are
Like
50,
you were
in the bay here, you'll see they're approximately, there's plenty of space in there, so you'll have I think just 2 columns roughing it out on the back of a napkin type deal here, so.
So if we went all metal, we're gonna be getting rid of those columns.
Correct.
In the bay. But it comes at an additional penalty to some degree.
Yeah, I mean, it's a metal building, so it has some, the flexibility isn't there as with wood
As
somewhat.
much, I don't know, and Andy, I don't know, have you guys done one of these as an all-metal building, all PEMB? No?
No.
No, okay.
I mean, we've looked at Pownell, I think, as one, yeah.
Uh-huh.
I guess I'm just thinking about it, what's it gonna do to the operating cost each year if we,
It's more,
is this
yeah.
why is pound foolish?
Well, I think you can probably minimize it in the living areas. And
Yep.
so, I mean, that was kind of the reason we kind of maybe do a hybrid. you know, in the bays, because you're just keeping those, you know, from freezing, or, well, keeping them in 50s or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, out that way, so less than, you know, you're not trying to keep them at 70.
Yep.
You know, so, and then build a kind of insulated shell inside.
But the building code's gonna push this to meet a certain heat standard anyway.
They, you know, which, for some reason, pre-engineered metal buildings get a different, they
Oh,
get.
really?
They
Yes.
get
Yeah.
a
That's
lesser
the trick.
standard. Yeah.
It's
You
harder
know,
to make them
little less.
perform.
So,
What?
you know.
It's harder to make them perform.
And also
Yeah,
what they're
so they-
typically used for is, you know, is big, is like this, big, huge open spaces, which are less concerned about, you know, is this perfectly heated to 72 degrees? And so that's kind of their function.
If we were just building a much more compact, like, you know, offices and dorm space, we wouldn't be having the metal building discussion.
Right.
It's the big open bay space that's driving this.
So,
So this is some big picture concepts there on that, and then we'll work with Andy to kind of define us what some of the other truss ideas would possibly look like, and
Yeah.
a lot of it ends up being creative
So-
on the design.
so I mean, one thought now, and so Andy and Lead, I don't know what your additional items for the agenda were today.
I want to talk about, the only other thing I had was, you know, how do we handle this 1.5 million?
Yeah, so that.
You know, on
relates-
the piece of
Relates
this,
to
those are the three biggies.
Yeah, so that relates to this, obviously, because if we could design to I mean, so we were talking about it earlier, it was sort of like, well, one option is, let's design to a 4.9025 or something like that, $1 million building, right? And then have a $1.5 million add-on, so that you could get through this one, get it built. So this is one option. So you could design this one, get this piece built, knowing that there's a good chance that you get this $1.5 million add-on, which might be another bay. It might be your apron, if you can do the apron. Don't know if you can do the apron back, or whatever else you might like to do for $1.5 million, right? But you don't have to have it. It's really like, we'd love to have this, right? So that's one option. So you get your fire station, you get the basic fire station sooner. Second option to me means it would potentially be to say, okay, let's count on getting the 1.5 million. We'll add it to the 4.9 we have here, and we'll design to a building that looks like that, with the assumption that we will get this 1.5 and we can design everything we want and get it built, knowing that we'll have to incorporate BABA into that. And then I've totally forgotten what the third option is. But
Well, I
if
think
it's-
that's, you know, the quandary is like, we don't want to start off on a, like, you know, kind of our original so we could kind of do the original concept and have a little money left over, potentially, or with, dependent on inflation and BABA. But then if we get down that road and we don't get it, then,
That's
you
a
know,
problem.
we gotta reboot.
And that's the problem, right.
Reboot, I mean,
So-
so I don't, yeah.
Part of this too, though, I've got another parallel project that's a little bit harder. This one, we still have a little bit of time that we're still trying to get through civil, so we might know a little bit more, but we are talking about the federal government, and they don't move quickly.
So the issues, like, so you're on the list, so that's.
Yeah, I don't even know if I meant to report this to the committee. So just recently, Senator King's office and Senator Collins' office notified the town that our request for $1.5 million for this project had moved to the Appropriations Committee. And then I just received an email yesterday saying, and this one was from Senator King's office, saying, well, we're looking at all these applications and we're asking folks if they need all of the money that they've requested. And they would like a response by the end of today. And I wanted to bring it up with this committee. You know, it seems to me we stick with we need 1.5, because I don't think we want to give up on that.
Who's actually going to?
But, you know, it just brings up these questions about whether or not we kind of create this phased project, because you cannot use this federal money until your project begins construction. So we can't start the project and say, oh, we'll use that 1.5 when we get it. You can't start until you have it.
So let me pose one to you, since I'm not familiar with the way this particular grant works. If we are funded fully or partially, and we come to the end of this, we find out we have residual funding or from anywhere within the project, are we obligated to return the residual to the federal government, or do we keep it?
I don't think we're going to have any, but
Well, I mean, no, we can probably easily expend it.
Yeah.
But I just want, for appearance's sake, it would be nice to know
Well,
what the ground is for
taking the
standing
federal
on.
money involves purchasing American-made products, which can be more expensive. So I don't think there will be residual money that,
Okay,
I think
So
there's,
the funding also is things like fixtures, equipment, other things, and you can always find some fixtures and equipment that will,
well, if we have to pre-dedicate this money, if we come in below what we anticipate, that's what I'm asking.
We can always work with the design team to develop a list of add alternates of things you'd like to have, that should we come in below, you can always go, be like, oh, we need another hose bay, we need another, I don't know what, you fill in the blank.
we can
Like,
have a bigger
we can-
we could have a bigger water tank, I mean.
Yeah, we can always find ways to spend.
Yeah, I didn't know how locked in we are if we have to dedicate this beforehand.
We can get a nicer piece of equipment in the
Yeah.
gym.
Yeah.
What,
We can get a nicer stove, we can get a,
what was the specific application that went to the senators?
I
What
hope
did it
that's our
ask
worst
for?
problem.
it asked for 1.5 million. It said that we had already received approval for 6 million from our voters, and that we had received information from Wright Ryan that $6.2 million figure. I presented that in the application, saying this was a recent figure that we
So no
received.
specifics, it was it's just a budgetary application.
I mean, you know, they have they have drawings, they have the information from Wright Ryan, and so, you know, we basically said our project could be a $7.5 million project.
Yeah.
And we
if-
would use so much for construction and so much in the design architectural area.
And if we start what we might call phase one, do we have to have that completely wrapped up before we would do congressionally approved phase two? In other words, the
Yes.
building has to be
Yes.
finished.
It does,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
All right, then I'm gonna ask the other question, just for the sake of putting it on the table, and it doesn't mean that I'm in favor of it, but. So there's a third option, there was two options that were mentioned a few minutes ago, but the third option is to wait and see what happens.
That is the
Yeah.
third
Yep.
option, yeah, yeah.
So you should know, so I just wanted to address the first thing you said on the, do you need all the money? I think you guys are fine. 1.5 million's like in the low end of what people are requesting. So there's like there's a number of 4 millions, 4.5 millions that have been requested and that are out there, so. And you do need it. I would say the 1 point, stay on that track. Secondly, so typically when you finally know is when Congress passes the budget.
If Congress passes the budget, it's not a
Right.
continuing
It used to
resolution.
always be when Congress
Yeah.
passes the budget. Now it's if Congress passes the budget, which I think is in their fiscal years in September, I believe.
I think October 1 is the start of the new
Yeah,
fiscal
yeah,
year.
right.
Yeah.
So it's supposed to be before then.
Right,
Like
Right.
sometime in September. And, you know, I'm sure in the best case scenario, it'll come right down to the wire. You know, if not, you know, the federal government getting shut down for the umpteenth time.
or a continuing resolution,
Yeah.
which doesn't necessarily pick up new spending or new
Correct.
earmark.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So that's kind of where, you know, where we're at. I guess personally, I have one more trick up my sleeve that I think might actually save us, you know, the money and again, just a double trust idea. Let me sketch that up, I think, and maybe get that and have these guys take a look at that one as well. I'm not really, I mean, I'm not, if we have to, we have to. I'm not really excited about, pre-engineered metal building. We can do it and, try to mitigate, the base of the building where they always get dinged up and rust and, so on, and just do the best we can with it. But I think, I think for longevity and performance, we'd be better with a different wood than I drew up last time that has like no, very little to no steel in it. And I think I've got an idea for it, and maybe I'll be all washed up. But I think it's, worth looking at, and it might change the shape a little bit of the building, but it would be basically shedding on both sides. We did a small one years ago in Buckfield that probably about it was smaller, but that one came in to be less than the pre-engineered building that was years ago, but at that time.
I'm trying to get my head around what this looks like. Do you have an image of that you could maybe send to the committee?
The
or something?
Buckfield one, I think we have a picture of that in your first proposal.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah.
so it's basically at the front of the buildings, the gable. So you got bays here, the living area on this side, and then it's a big gable roof on it. It was in two pieces, like a triangle truss on this side, triangle truss on this side, maybe a little connector in between. But I could go from the outside wall to the face of the mezzanine, and that's 55 feet, and the outside wall to the in the dividing wall between the living and apparatus bays with two trusses, and kind of infill that 10 or 12 feet in the middle. And then we're kind of building on bearing walls on both ends. If we did an addition on a future bay, then we'd have to just cut through. It'd still be a wall there that we'd cut through to get to that last bay. But I think it's got merit, and it's still slab on grade. And so,
One of the reasons I put the third option on the table was because if we push it to try to save 5 months, which is essentially what we're talking about probably 5 months before
yeah.
that budget would be approved, right? But if we do that so we can get phase one out the door, then we've committed ourselves to the construction type. And, right, whereas if we wait, we have the funding, then we have the ability to build the best building,
Yeah, you got it.
right?
Yeah, right on.
Am I a fan of waiting 5 months? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But I see some merit to doing what we can do in the 5 months we got in front of us and seeing what, the thing that scares me the most is continuing resolutions.
I know.
Because, I mean, half
Yeah.
of government this year ran on continuing resolutions for half the year.
Yeah.
And one whole department still is, so.
Yep.
Yeah, and I don't know, I mean, I'm not really seeing a lot that making it better, but,
Although agriculture doesn't tend to be one of those
That's a
departments that
good
gets a
point,
continuing
yeah,
resolution, and
yeah.
that was
Oh, yeah.
Senator
Yeah.
King's
It is,
committee
So-
was agriculture.
So,
yeah, I had to select that, like, it has to fit in certain boxes.
Yeah.
And it fits in that
Rural
box.
fire stations often
Yeah,
fit
yeah.
in agriculture.
part of this is, I almost want to kick the decision down the road a little bit until we get a better handle on the site. Because if we're going to have to sit and wait,
Yeah.
and this is going to come out of my hide more than anybody else's, but if we're going to have to sit and wait while this goes through DEP, we can take this building so far in order to get the DEP permits while we wait. I don't know yet. We need to know more about
That's-
Flycatcher. So
Yeah.
I kind of want to take this decision and put it in 2 to 4 weeks, not to ignore it, but maybe we'll know more about what's going on.
and interestingly enough, the DEP permit's probably about 4 or 5 months.
No, they have up to 6.
Six, yeah.
Once we submit, so
All right, I'm
we.
sorry, 6 months.
So that's why I kind of see sitting it going down. There is a little bit of a risk that you have to design, and we have to provide enough of a building design, and it doesn't mean we have to design the building type, but kind of the shape,
Yeah, they want the
So-
footprint, right?
Yeah.
so that the civil can design their site.
Yeah.
But we can work around that with a little bit of planning, and he's crusty, but he's really good at planning, Tom. And go that
Sorry,
direction.
if you're listening, Tom.
No, I'd say that to his face.
So it sounds like we can continue moving forward and getting the DEP part of it without having to make the commitment to wood frame versus steel, and then buy us some time to get some answers from either Senator King or Collins, and maybe have,
And I don't want to ignore this. I kind of want to touch on this and keep it in the background to make sure, to kind of keep doing a little bit of a check as we go to make sure that there isn't a time that, oh, we have to make a decision.
Yeah.
But I kind of would like to work that way. And so what Tom's going to need is he's going to need a footprint. So maybe we go with the footprint, and if we go with wood, which is preferable, we go with the footprint, it's larger. If you don't get the funding, then it might change the metal, but to metal, at that point, we will have more, well, we will have not gone fully with our documents, and we can change it
Yeah.
in-house. Or
But
if,
reducing the size of the building is not gonna kill the DEP permit. It's going bigger that would kill the DEP.
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
so,
Right,
but
right.
that's,
Yeah.
so that's
Yeah.
kind of the planning. But like I said, it's something that we need to keep checking in as we go.
Yeah.
It's not something to ignore. Does
And
that-
when you go to DEP, would that include the full proposed possible, including the fourth bay and all that? You need to get that through DEP as well, right?
We
Otherwise,
would,
plan
you
for the
don't
future,
have
you
to,
don't
but
know.
it would be prudent, yeah, we should.
So it's a full possible
Yeah.
in the future footprint is what you want to
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
And maybe what we end up putting in there is a concrete pad at this point, so that you have something there. But, I mean, these are things that we
Nothing
gotta
else,
work
you got a
through.
parking space.
Or
Yeah.
asphalt.
Right.
Yeah,
Park some.
asphalt
park some
works
boats there.
too, but yeah,
Yeah.
put something there
Claim
that,
that space.
All right, I'm feeling better about this. I mean, it sounds like we got time ahead of us to see if we.
I mean, I agree, we don't wanna really wait either, but it might be the
So,
thing to do.
and it's gonna come out, and when I say it comes out of me more than Andy, Andy's much better at dealing with DEP and flycatcher. I'm better at putting the building together, and I'm just gonna have to, I'd love to start full tilt on this tomorrow. But I can wait and work kind of planning.
Well, we certainly need to know where that 20-foot stream is.
right, so this is sort of if we need to go to DEP.
Oh, I mean, we do.
We
for
do, okay.
Stormwater.
Yeah.
no,
For everything else,
Yeah.
and all of that is a 6-month.
And we'll have,
agreement.
low value, well, we have to.
Okay,
yeah,
so
yeah.
that's great. So then, so what we can do, so if we can sort of figure out, okay, so when do we think we could get a DEP permit in?
That clock starts ticking, and we can give you a timeline when we get
The
survey
and the
and flycatcher.
Flycatcher
Okay.
delineated the wetlands, which they're
Okay.
both. So Chrissy, did they ask you to amend the?
They haven't given me an updated scope
Okay,
yet.
I mean, they're like in the thick
Yeah,
of
yeah,
vernal
yeah,
pools this
right,
month,
right.
you know,
Yeah.
but they'll.
Did they
clear-
give you a price?
No, they said that they were gonna just.
Put
you
it
know,
together.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it'll be much, but
Fine.
it'll,
Yeah.
yeah.
We
But they-
did get 2 proposals for the topographic work you want to
Okay.
have done, and that's on tonight's select board
Yeah.
agenda. I don't know if you want to talk about those 2 proposals. One does it in 2 weeks or so, 2 to 3 weeks, for like 9,500, and then one does it in 8 to 10 weeks for 5,500.
Well,
Yeah.
So,
I
And then
was
we-
originally going the 9,500, but after the discussion right now, I mean, maybe, you know, because
Save some
we still can't move without Flycatcher's delineation, so maybe it's okay.
And then there was a third option that never got me a price,
Okay.
and a fourth that Christie touched base with, but they were even further out.
Well, they were in the 8 to 10 weeks, so,
Okay, yeah.
you know, they couldn't do anything quickly.
So who's the second? Is which, how many weeks out is the 500, 5,500?
That is like 8 to 10.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I'm blanking on her name.
Owen,
Owen Haskell.
Owen Haskell, yeah.
I think we want the one that's gonna give us the answer we're looking for.
Yeah.
well, I did
That's
wonder.
Flycatcher.
I did wonder if they both have the same work scope. I know you folks talked to them, because there was quite a price differential, and
I gave
maybe
him
that
the
was for the
I gave him
timing.
the exact same
Okay,
documents.
okay, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, so,
And I want to talk to you about it before tonight, about
oh, okay,
the transfer, because I would say before you sign it, you might as well have them just do both at the same time, no matter where you go. Because you're gonna need
So,
Oh.
survey.
it. So we didn't go all the way out.
Oh, that's an
When,
idea.
when is the decision going to be made on deciding the construction method, whether it's going to be wood or combination? When is it? We seem to be dancing around this with proposals. When are we going to
We're
make
saying
that
we don't-
decision?
We're saying we don't need to make the decision yet.
But-
That's the idea, is that we don't need to
Yeah, I
make it
mean,
yet.
I'd like to look at one, so I'll get another one to you
Yeah,
tomorrow or.
Sure, but
You know,
But part of it is, we have 6 months where we have to wait for DEP.
to,
We just submit paperwork and we wait. At the same time, we're waiting to see if if they vote on the grant and approve it. Because I think part of the decision of whether it's wood or metal building is going to be determined on whether or not if you get the federal funding.
Yeah, I mean, it's not quite that simple, because we could be working, because in 6 months you could start construction, or we could.
well,
Right.
not without DEP permit.
No, because 6
No,
months puts us
well, I
at
mean, when-
Christmas.
yeah.
So it'd be a spring break, but yeah.
But we don't worry about construction start. I mean, I'm just trying to honestly figure out, so let's just say we go with 8 to 10 weeks plus or minus to get the survey done, right? Let's call that 3 months plus or minus, right? So it's 3 months to get the survey done, then a couple weeks probably to then pull together the DEP permit,
Yeah.
do you think? Okay. so
Well,
I'll-
we need Flycatcher. And
Okay.
they'll probably be about the same time. I think they're gonna start in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. They haven't gotten they gotta amend the proposal,
Okay.
Christie.
I think that makes the decision easy then. If Flycatcher is gonna be that far out.
Well, it might be a little less, but I think,
Yeah.
So
Because
then,
when we were negotiating this end of last week, we didn't have the Flycatcher information. So-
And what is Flycatcher doing for us?
they're delineating the wetlands and then gonna map
Oh.
that. So it's kinda in tandem with it. Like I said, where this is our best case, or guess on it, but using all the maps that we have today. They will actually GPS the exact location of where the wetlands are and where they end. And so we'll know for sure that, right now, this is still kind of schematic, our
Oh,
site
okay.
plan. And that'll be a for real piece. And that's what we'll need for the DEP too, on that. And that might also alter, I'm thinking we might just maybe make the building more of a rectangle, kind of shape as well. So, but that kind of helps or affects it too, to where that stream and where those wetlands are. I don't want to come off with the big T if that's going to go into the wetlands. And worst case scenario, we can get right up to them, but not in them if DEP does say it's a stream for, the 20
But
feet.
if DEP shows up tomorrow or next week, shouldn't we have that survey done sooner than later instead of waiting? I know it's more money, but do we want to wait 8 to 10 weeks?
I guess I'd say it's a toss-up. I mean, I can see benefit.
$4,000 toss-up.
Right, yeah. So, but, yeah.
Is it going to hurt to wait 8 to 10 weeks for the survey?
I mean, it kind of, I don't think so. I was just trying to map this out because I'm a, big patience-lacking construction person, right? So I was just trying to map this out. So we'd say, but you have to, I don't know what the Flycatcher timeline is, right? So I'm sort of figuring June, July, August for Flycatcher and for the survey, right? Then you probably have 4 weeks to put all that information together into a DEP permit. So that's the month of September, potentially. Someone tell me I'm wrong. Okay, I'll keep going. So then it goes into DEP. So then you've got October, November, December, January, February, March for that DEP permit to churn through DEP in their sort of approximate amount of time. So then in March of '27, as long as we're designing at the same time and we're getting a guaranteed maximum price at the same time, we could, bless you, we could start construction. And so then at the same time, theoretically in that same time frame, by September plus or minus,
Yeah.
we should hear about the federal earmark.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we
So-
should, and then that'll take, then there's pre-meetings and
Yep.
things like that.
Yeah,
Moving at the speed of the federal government.
right. So that would be sort of what I am seeing for a timeline, a kind of, based on this conversation, if that seems to make sense
So-
to people.
Yeah, so I mean, I'd say just, no matter, even under the best cases, we're probably not gonna get in the ground this fall. So I think it's really looking at
All right.
early spring. Yeah. So,
And that survey, the $4,000 decision, that's not, that's for like your boundaries and actually like
Topo,
recording.
right,
It's
topo,
not,
yeah.
it doesn't, you don't have to have that to go to.
Well, that they,
Well,
do.
to
To DEP, yeah, they will have.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, okay.
They will have.
well, I mean, they'll have, yeah, we need
Yeah.
to set it with the boundaries and
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
whole flycatcher, yeah.
Want a pin in the ground where the corner of the building is in relation to
Yeah,
the
Yeah.
stream.
yeah, right, right. So, that's where we're at. Sorry, I wish it was a little better news, but we'll
Yeah.
keep plodding along.
So the question I'm supposed to respond to is, can your project proceed if the committee can only partially fund your request? Yes or no? So I'm going to say no.
Yes,
And then-
yes, it can proceed, but it will be
But
a
will they
third
say?
less of what
If
it, what
you
you
answer
would.
yes, if you answer yes, so that's the second part, what is the minimum level of congressionally directed funding that would enable the project to move forward?
And the answer that we may, the answer that we may not have pertaining to that is, if we now said we can, if we assume a reduction, say, we can do a 200,000 less, does that put us in a more favorable position?
Can I ask a question? Are they dueling?
I don't know. That's a
Yeah.
good question.
I've never heard this.
I thought they
before.
worked together. So
Yeah.
I don't understand this either. The first
The-
letter was from Senator King, and I thought, okay,
Yeah.
that's the senator advancing it, and then I heard from Senator Collins, and I received a letter. And then I received this follow-up from King's office. So I thought they were working together
Yeah.
on
Same committee,
advancing
correct?
Maine.
I think we know which of them is in a more desperate
She's on
position.
agriculture?
No,
Don't
she's
know how
on
it works.
appropriations.
Yeah.
He's on agriculture.
Right, right.
I think, I'm just gonna
She owns the
guess
wallet.
and just say that, this year, and the numbers are a lot higher for a lot of projects. I've never seen 4
Really?
million, 4.5 million, for a single project. So I think, honestly, those are probably the ones they're targeting, and they'll probably say like, no, we can't go. I don't think anybody's gonna answer yes to it. I don't know if it would give you I don't think it would give you.
That's what I'm
like a-
struggling with. I think I should answer no, and we hang in there for the 1.5, and,
I mean, because honestly, anybody's project could be, the 4.5 million,
Yeah.
could cut them in half, or, something, I mean.
I think we'd rather have 1 million than 0, but our
I
preference
know
would
what
be
you're
1.5.
saying. Do we
Yeah,
just
yeah,
throw
yeah,
them
I
a
know.
bone and say, we'll take out 200,000? I don't know.
You
can also
guys
do
gotta
that.
call them and say, is it gonna make a difference,
Right, right, that's a good question, and then also just let them do it. They may just be like, okay, across the board, we're gonna take 10%
Yeah,
of
Yeah.
every
yeah.
single one. That's the end of the,
Right.
and just tell you.
They want you to negotiate against yourself
Right, why
first.
negotiate against yourself?
This
We
is
don't
a
have,
new
we don't
process.
possess that crystal ball, so
No.
we don't know
This is a new
what,
process.
what their parameters are.
Nope,
That's
we don't.
privileged information to them.
Yep,
I tend to be optimistic. I'm wondering if they're both submit, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I know. I was wondering.
3?
what? Yeah, right.
Maybe you can get
But that-
1.5 million from each.
Yeah, right.
That's, I mean,
they
it
would-
sounds like they're not talking to
To each other. What, is
If I
anyone
had, if
surprised?
I had to do this myself, knowing as little as I do now, I'd throw them a bone and say, we can do it for 1.3. And that's the lowest we can possibly go.
I think I just.
That gives them a little something to work with. We've already given up something, but that's just me.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
I think I'll do no with
We're
a,
getting way outside
Yeah,
of
something,
architecture.
with a little
Yeah.
sentence, but I
hate to
need
say
to
it.
find out more about how those offices work together to
I
advance
hate to say,
the project.
no, but can't read their minds, so we don't know what is behind it. We don't know what the end game is. so.
I think they're looking for people to offer something up, and I don't know. I like your idea. Let them make the decision if they're gonna go with a percentage across the board, but they're looking for voluntary you know, what can you live with? And I'd like
All
to
right.
stay at the 1.5.
All right,
Collins' office, they like fire department, so
Yes, yeah. Very much.
he seems to, Senator Collins, yeah.
It's done a lot for the firefighters.
Yeah,
Yes.
there's been a
yeah,
number
I
of,
can't tell if I've ever heard of King kind of earmark for a
He-
fire
he's-
station.
more-
I mean, I think Collins, just because she's head of appropriations committee, has more
Yeah.
opportunity to fund them than not,
I think King's more Veterans Affairs, he's kind of centered on that.
yeah.
Yeah. If we're wrapping up, I have a couple of questions.
For me.
Can we, if somebody's unable to make a meeting, can we remote into the meeting for these?
Yep,
Yeah.
ask Amelia. She says yes.
Okay, I just know at one time there was a conversation about whether or not the rules allowed us to be virtual for a meeting.
The meetings will be in person, but if for some reason you have to participate remotely, we
Yeah.
can
Okay.
make that happen.
The reason I ask is because sometime in June, I'm changing shifts. And the shift I'm gonna be going to is just enough off that it means that if I'm gonna stay here, we're gonna have to bump it, like go 3 weeks to get to a meeting
Yeah.
instead of 2. And then we can go back to 2 weeks, but, and I don't know what that date is yet. It's probably gonna be, the second meeting we would normally be scheduled in June is gonna be one I would miss because of my new work schedule.
I think the answer is yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So, I don't know, how about you, Miss? You said any Thursday's good for you, right?
I am free Thursdays now.
Aaron?
You keeping any of these?
Yeah, best I can. And it's just hit or miss with work. You know, if I get stuck on a big job, it,
You can take those down, no.
This is the big job.
what's that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're still a little ways from making any decisions.
I get Sean to work, yeah.
I put it on your calendar.
Did you have something else?
No, no, I'm good. I like that we're
I,
almost an hour. I love to keep meetings to an hour.
Show up tonight, will you?
Well, we have that figured out for the fire department board meetings. I have an account with, for Google Meet
Probably.
that only works for an hour and then
For
it
some
shuts
reason,
off.
they're trying to sell me AutoCAD.
Yeah, we started a new committee last week, and I said, 1 hour.
I sent it on your.
I can't get it done in an hour.
All right, so are we adjourned?
It's bi-weekly.
All right,
And
thank you.
on
Okay,
the-
thanks.
Thank you.